Yo, what up, YouTube? What up, boxing fans? Let's get into predictions for today. Saturday's fights. Knockout Kings Andre Berto. I believe this is the main event facing Jesus Soto Karass. This is, it has fireworks written on it. It's a good fight. Overall, it's a good comeback fight for Andre Berto. That's how I see it. Coming off of the Robert Guerrero loss, very competitive, but still a loss. In fact, he was hurt early on. He does have chin problems early on, and Andre Berto does a good job of recovering usually. Similar to the Victor Ortiz fight, where he put up a much more valiant effort, but he did lose his legs early, and he was forced to trade with Victor Ortiz, who was actually outboxing Andre Berto at times. Now, is this something that Jesus Soto Karass can take advantage of? Maybe. But overall, I think Andre Berto's speed and power will simply overwhelm him. Andre Berto has a tendency to get into wars, however. He got into wars with Steve Forbes. He got into wars with, well, not really. It wasn't really a war with, what's that guy's name? Very good fighter. Andre Berto fought Luis Collazo. And I actually thought he lost that fight by a point, but that one could have gone. It was fairly close, and it was a back and forth affair. So Andre Berto has had his, very tough fights as he's gotten through, and he's very strong. 22 wins. I believe he's got a very high knockout ratio. Let me just check it out. 28 wins. I was correct on that, and 22 knockouts with 2 defeats to really only fairly competent, fairly elite. I don't consider Victor Ortiz elite anymore, but at that time he was, one of the top guys at 140 coming up, and Andre Berto was really the number one guy next to Floyd Mayweather. Actually, no, that's a little too. No, he wasn't number one at 147, but he was one of the top guys out there. So let's look at Jesus Soto Karass. His last fight was a victory over Selçuk Aydin, where he did a good job. He threw the straighter shots. He outboxed a very wide looping puncher. However, Selçuk Aydin is not the fastest guy in the world. Andre Berto, I believe his speed and his athleticism will give Soto Karass problems, who did lose by knockout to Marcos Maidana, to Gabriel Rosado. He lost to Mike Jones by decision twice. He lost to Mike Jones by decision, and he even lost to Alfonso Gomez over 6 rounds. So, Jesus Soto Karass, a fairly competent fighter. He's a solid fighter. A good fighter, but I just think Andre Berto's speed and power, where I believe he's got the advantage in both of those areas, will carry the day, and I see Andre Berto knocking this guy out. Like, he's a good fighter, but he's more of a gatekeeper, and I think Andre Berto is getting close to gatekeeper status, but I think he can beat this guy. So, and he's got a lot to prove. He's got a chip on his shoulder after losing to Robert Guerrero. He wants to come back strong, and he's got a guy that's going to trade with him. So it really falls on him to be more explosive and to be smart in the ring. Don't be an idiot. Go into fighting a style you've never fought before or that you've never had success with, and expect to completely dominate your opposition when he's world class. Don't do anything stupid like going to the Philly shell, Andre Berto, and you'll probably knock this guy out. So, let me know what you guys think it is what it is. Peace out, take care.